So when I create in 3-point perspective, we have 3 vanishing points. So I'm going to create a horizon line down here, like that. I'm going to use the whole width of the paper here. And usually you want to place the vertical vanishing point, or the line or distance line to the vertical vanishing point, halfway. So this is 17, there's 8.5. So I'm going to create a vertical. Now, what we usually do is we try to keep our vertical vanishing point either longer or at a longer distance, or at the same distance between the left and right vanishing point. So let me explain. I'm going to make this a this is what we call a equidistant triangle, meaning I use my 60-degree angle to create 60, 60, and 60. This is 60 here, and this is 60 here. When I put a 30-degree here, obviously, when you double it, it's 60. Now, this is fairly even. The distance between these 3 are exactly the same. This is about 11.5 inches, 11.5, a little bit shy of 11.5, but they're all a little bit shy of 11.5 inches. So equidistant triangle, 3 60-degree angles. And you have this vertical that creates a perpendicular line to the horizon line. And if it's perpendicular, that means it creates a right angle. Now, we also have the same on both of these vertical reference lines. These vertical reference lines, or I will even dare to say horizon lines, even though they're not horizontal, they act as horizon lines between the left, right, and vertical vanishing point. So we'll just say that this is a left vanishing point, this is right vanishing point, and this is a vertical vanishing point. Let me fix this. Super bright. That looks better. Okay, now obviously I use my horizon, my horizontal straight edge to get this horizon line in, and I use my 30, 60, 90 triangle to capture this. Now, in order to get a perpendicular line to here, I simply need to get a 30-degree angle at this point, line it up with my straight edge, get that 30-degree angle right there in the corner of the right vanishing point, and draw a vertical line. This gives me a perfect perpendicular line to the right vanishing point. And we do the same thing here, and look what happens. Meets perfectly in the center, where we find our center of vision. So this right here becomes our center of vision. So ideally, we want to stay within these confines of these lines. It doesn't matter what type of structural approach that you do, whether it's like this or I'll even create a different one. You still want to stay within the cone of vision when possible, but it's not always 100% necessary. Let me flip this around. Now this is obviously a smaller version than what we're going to draw today. Oh, it moved on me. Let's do this again. Well, you guys get the idea. Oh, it keeps moving. I need to tighten the screws. There we go. So that's where the cone of vision is. So, getting back to Azucena's question, do you need to create extensions for our structural approach? Not right now, not during this explanation, but if we do, we can create a very large cone of vision to the point where it can envelop the entire sheet of paper if we can create a very large cone of vision or create a very large extended area. Now, the only issue that I have with 3-point perspective in our using 18 by 24 paper is this cannot get big enough. We want to get as large as possible, but we're kind of limited on space, so we do what we can to create extensions when possible. So this is, again, an equidistant triangle. Okay, 3-point structural approach. It works phenomenal. And there's other reasons why we use this. So let me switch to a different version. Not of a structural approach, a different version of a structural approach. And they all work. The one that doesn't work is when you lower, when the vertical vanishing point has a shorter distance than the distance between these two vanishing points. Oh, let me also point out, you have 3 diagonal vanishing points, and we'll touch on that later. Okay, so let me show you a different version that's appropriate to use. You notice that I'm creating a portrait position for this structural approach. Okay, so this is 11 inches. You always want your vertical vanishing point to be centered between both vanishing points. me make sure I get this right because I'm not using a specific angle here. Okay, 5 3/8. There we go. Okay, so here is a different version. This is your left vanishing point, right vanishing point, and the vertical vanishing point. Now this is if your vertical vanishing point is high or above. So let's figure out where our center of vision is. Actually, I guess I can use this. I'm gonna line this up on this line here. Create a perpendicular line to the right vanishing point. And technically I should do it over here too, but I don't actually need to. I just need to line this up here since it is centered. The reason why you want to keep this, this centered here is so you can find a proper center of vision. So the structured approach gives you, or opens up the opportunity to create a proper center of vision. So you can see it's nice and perpendicular to this left vanishing point. Oh, and again, just gonna freehand this. Now, creating a tall or long vertical vanishing point puts us in a different kind of a situation because the cone of vision gets a little bit skewed. It gets very small. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't work outside of the cone of vision. You can, but don't try to put too much detail outside of that cone of vision, or create a focal point outside of that cone of vision. So with that said, with this, you can see the center of vision is much lower than this one. This one gives you a lot more opportunity to work larger or to create a broader scope of detail, where this one does minimize it a little bit, and it does, or quite a bit, and it does bring everything lower. Now, your vertical vanishing point, again, doesn't always have to be vertical. It doesn't have to be above the horizon line. It can actually work inverted, as we saw in some of the examples we had earlier. And I'm going to start with just a simple two-point plane. So this in itself looks like it's in two-point perspective because I'm only using two vanishing points. But in three-point perspective, it begs for form. So you can see how dynamic it looks already. Even though this has a long vertical vanishing point, it's pretty dynamic. Doubling and framing, the concept of doubling and framing still works. Doesn't matter if it's in Doesn't matter if it's a 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point, it still works. So again, I'm starting with a 2 point plane. You don't always have to start off with a 2 point plane, but I'm doing it here. You can see that the lower you go towards the vertical vanishing point, you can see that it does get skewed. It gets skewed quite a bit, where it looks almost unreal. And that's where you have to be careful when you do have a tall vertical vanishing point, that you truly try to keep your center of vision, you try to keep your drawings or your focal point towards the center of vision so it doesn't get too skewed. So I'll put another one down way down here, and it will be way outside the cone of vision. Keep breaking this.
There's like a few second delay on that. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's because of the software.
Thought it was me first. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, it's simply the software. It's trying to catch up with the camera. The funny thing is, that's what we only see in the classroom. On film, there's no delay at all. So I'm going a smidgen smaller or lower, but already you can see how tweaked it becomes the closer you get to the vertical vanishing point. I already got that one there and there. So it's something to be careful of. Almost outrageous looking. So this is certainly believable. I'll put another one here.
It almost looks.
3 point perspective is so much fun to do because you get an automatic dynamic look to your drawing, even if it's very slight. Now, yes, it is important to stay within the cone of vision, but you can actually make this structured approach as large as you want. So you can actually see this one. It works a little bit better than these two because it's certainly closer to the cone of vision or within the cone of vision itself. This one especially is way outside the cone of vision. That's why it just looks so tweaked.
Distorted. That's what I'm trying to think.
Completely distorted. Now, this is all distortion. Every drawing that you guys have done from the very beginning has a degree of distortion. 3 point perspective lends itself, or it lends itself to a very dynamic distortion. Okay. So you can do both. You can use a tall vertical vanishing point, or you can use the equidistant triangle for the exercise today. It's up to you. One of the things that I'm going to prohibit is that you have a short vertical vanishing point. You want to make sure, just to avoid issues, that you don't have a vertical vanishing point that, again, where its distance from the horizon line is shorter than its distance between the left and right vanishing point. Okay. So we have our large sheet of paper. I'm going to do an equidistant triangle, which you guys can follow along with. It's super, super easy to do, but it will require your entire sheet of paper. So a 1/2 inch from the top of the sheet of paper. You can even go more than that, but I usually stay about 1/2 inch. You can even do a 1/4 inch. Okay. So also you want to find the middle. And you drop a vertical line straight down. You can use your 30-60-90 or your 45-90 triangle. So I'm going to extend my vertical line like this. Maybe a couple inches. A couple inches will be fine for this. And this is why you want to do it. You want to create the largest cone of vision possible. Now, you can certainly make it larger if you want to than this. If you want to create extensions off to the right and left, you can certainly do that. So I'm just keeping it within reason. And this is only literally a couple inches below my sheet of paper. And from here, I can actually eyeball where my left vanishing point is, but I can also get my straight edge. When I place my 60-degree angle here at the bottom here against my 180-degree straight edge, this actually gives me a 30-degree angle. Okay, and we can get into the math later. But if I were to extend this line all the way up here, you can see that this creates a 60-degree angle up here. And you can actually see where your vanishing point is. So if you fancy a longer vertical vanishing point, which will actually make this longer, you can do that, which creates a larger cone of vision. But for our purposes today, I'm just going to stay fairly conservative. I do have an extension here. If I didn't use an extension, which it's your prerogative if you don't, let me show you where this one would be first. If I created if my vertical vanishing point is here, I would have a vanishing point right over here, about 1 inch away from the side of the paper. If I wanted to keep my vertical vanishing point literally on the paper, you can see it brings it in another inch. So it will make it literally 1 inch larger if I were to do that. So I'm just going to do this for now because you guys asked about it. So I will hold we'll draw this line. Okay, that creates my vertical vanishing point here. We'll put my straight edge against my triangle and then extend the line all the way up to the horizon line. And it's okay to make this dark. I'm still doing this in red because this is my structural approach. Okay, so I have it here. I'm going to flip my triangle over, and I'm going to do it again up here. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you actually meet right here at this point. You want to be very, very precise with this. There's no reason why you shouldn't be precise after all this time. It should not be a question. See, 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 3 and 4 is at a 30-degree angle up to the horizon line. And to get the center of vision, or let's say to get perpendicular lines to this vanishing point, to the right vanishing point, or to the left vanishing point, you simply need to flip this over. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to, except at this vanishing point, because you have the long side down, you're going to create a 30-degree angle here. This is already 60 degrees. And when you flip it over on its length, and you put this 60 degree here, it will create a 30-degree angle all the way down towards this left reference line right here. You flip it over and you do the same thing over here. Now, when you do this side, and this doesn't meet in the middle, if you have this 30-degree angle right here in the pocket, right here in the left vanishing point, and it doesn't meet right there at the center of vision, then there's something wrong with your lines, and you'll need to double check everything. Because when we create this equidistant triangle for the structured approach, we're not measuring anything. If we'd measured anything, we measured this midpoint, but even still, we didn't need it. So again, if it doesn't meet right here in the middle, I would double check everything. Check your T-square, check your angles, and make sure that they're all correct.